Alright, Dad kind of cheated there. He went on to number 3, but that's okay. Number 3 is Genesis 1:26 says, Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, over all the creatures that move along the ground. If human beings created in the image of God, and God is a God of order, what did you learn about humanity from this passage?
That we're in charge. I mean, granted, He's in charge, but we, like Dad said, God's put the earth in our hands, and unfortunately, in the last few decades, it's gone to heck in a handbasket. But as Christians, or as a Christian myself, I feel it's my responsibility to do the best I can to try to guide people and guide myself into salvaging what's left of our earth. So that's what I have to say.
Does that mean we got to be a tree hugger, tree hugging, loving?
Well, for some people it does. Not for me, but for me it just being the best I can be each day, and it helps that you're allergic to styrofoam, so I'm not using that much styrofoam, and it helps that I have great role models to go off of when it comes to not throwing away food and such and such things. So your turn, or whoever's turn. I don't know.
At the moment, I'm kind of giggling about being in the image of God because Annie and I signed up for Biggest Loser. Mostly for Annie because it's I know I'm much bigger, but the point is that I know what's required in Biggest Loser, and due to my injuries, I can't do everything that's required. But I have the access to sign up and bring a guest, so Annie gets to be the guest, and she gets to do the actual workout program. And in a way, that's kind of like God and Jesus. It's like we wanted to be forgiven. We wanted, God's love and all this stuff, and God has it. He signed us up for it, so all we have to do is just be the guest and come along for the ride type of thing. But it's kind of funny that that we're in control when we're such a mess. But sometimes I think God has a good humor because you're right, exactly. Dave's over here rubbing his hands. God is, I think, got quite the humor when you really look at the people that He's created, because not everybody's perfect. Everybody has this image of what they think they are, and stuff like that. And this house is full of the most frumpy, disorganized, disoriented, falling apart bunch of people if there ever were. And somehow we're all created in God's image. And I find that kind of neat. The fact that He leaves us in charge of all these things on earth is kind of scary. But He has a reason for that, and I think sometimes it's just teaching us a little bit of responsibility, and that's what we need to learn, is to be thankful for what we have and to be responsible for what we've been given, and trust Him that He has a plan.
Alright, the reason I was rubbing my hands there was because of the fact that a comment that you made, I was going to hit you over the head with it. Kind of that whole... You made the comment about us already being on the guest list when it comes to God, Christ, and Christ. Does that mean that we don't need salvation because we're already on the guest list?
No, it's like a gift. God's left us a gift. All we have to do is take it. And I'm not saying that, we're on, everybody, God wants to all of us to accept Him. Whether or not we want to accept Him is another issue. And, obviously, if you don't accept Him, there's a penalty. And, in this case, it's like Annie wants a change in her life. And she came to me and said, "Can you help me out?" I had the means to help her out. I may not be able to do as well as she will do in the classes, but at least I can help her. And that's what God wants us to do, is have us go to Him and say, "I need help. Can you show me? Can you teach me? Can you accept me for what I am? I'm a mess." That kind of thing. Okay?
I just wanted to clarify because of how it came across sounding to me. I don't know how, and so I don't know how it would have sounded to anybody watching this. Alright, we're down to sharpening the focus. Read a snapshot, an honest look at your life. Okay. If you took an honest inventory of your life, you might have to admit that there are some things that are not the way they should be. No duh. It is a rare experience to find a person who feels they have a good grip in every area of their life. Most of us struggle with feelings that parts of our lives are out of control. If we portrayed our life on a pie graph and were to honestly plot each area, each of our diagrams would look different. It shows 3 different graphs here. So we're going to go to page 14. What observations can you make about the life of one of the people represented above? Well, for me, person 1, I see that they have no spiritual growth in there, which is a very, very important part of a person's life.
One person really doesn't have, well, actually, person 1 doesn't have any. Did you use person 1?
Yeah.
Okay. There's definitely a difference between all 3 of them as far as, like Dee said, the spiritual growth. 1 has none, 2 has a little bit, and 3 looks like they're having a great time with God, So, the first person doesn't have any friends, and person 1 doesn't have any friends, and that probably has to do with the fact that they don't have any spiritual growth in their life either.
Okay.
So,
when you really look at the lives of what's important to this person, or any of these people, it's like one person, recreation is the primary thing. Another one is the vocation, and fitness is the primary thing. The third one, the spiritual growth, is the main thing. And the portions, how everything's divvied out. And the trick is to have a balance of all of them. And even the spiritual growth, I may get in trouble for this. But sometimes, I think spiritual growth is a strong thing to have. But when it's so overpowering in my life that I force it on everybody else, it's a problem. And so sometimes when I see this big thing of spiritual growth, it's like, oh, I'm a spiritual person, and so will you be, and so will you, and so will you.
You're darn right. No.
And that's usually what chases everybody away from the church and God and all that good stuff. And that's just not the way to be. It's better to be understanding. My spiritual growth is for me to work on, and it's not for me to force it on someone else.